Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doing this in 4K, by the way, also. So if this is the first time I'm going to try to do it in 4K, the camera might overheat, but it shouldn't, like the way I have it set up. So we'll see.
What's up, Doom Nation? Welcome back. You are listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, it's Skaggs and yours truly, the Captain. What's going on, buddy? What do we got going on today?
We're going to be reading the news. Just me and you, buddy. It's good to just sometimes, we're just coming off of Mike Termott. A lot of guests lately. It's been a minute since we had a chance.
A lot of guests to come. I think we're going to be staying on this train all summer long.
Fun.
Yes.
Fun. We one thing we noticed after Mike, we were saying amongst ourselves, like the libertarians always make sometimes the best guests. Different takes, most interesting. We get along well with them.
He was a great sport.
Well,
yeah. Well, when you talk to somebody who's a politician, and especially in, I guess we'll call it our line of work, quote unquote, you see it all the time when these politicians just deflect, give the robot answer, give the politically correct answer. They're never going to deviate from what their spreadsheet of okay things to say. They're never going to deviate from that. Whereas I feel like a lot of the libertarians that we speak to, they're all good sports. They'll talk to you about anything. They'll shoot the shit with you.
Yeah.
They'll joke about their campaign. Like at the end, when we were talking about aliens and where are we going to be sitting in, during his inauguration and stuff. So all that stuff's really good. They definitely have a way nicer disposition, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I was also on. Well, we both tried to be on Alan and on We the People Radio. Yeah. So go check that one out. I know Captain had a little issue, but I was on there with Alan and James. Always a good time with them as well. So go check that out. Today we got a couple topics we will be talking about. Black Lives Matter is apparently going bankrupt. Looks like Ron Desantis is also officially, well, he basically has at this point, but he's officially launching his presidential campaign tonight on a Twitter space with Elon Musk, which is interesting. I think we'll keep it to those two main topics, tweets of the week and whatever random stuff occurs. Otherwise, we'll be here for 10 hours. So, yeah. So let's get into it, Cap. What do you want to start with? I'll let you pick. You want to do Black Lives Matter, Ron DeSantis, or the Twitter rant you want to go on?
I will save the Twitter rant before Twitter tweets of the week. Let's start with Black Lives Matter. That's the first big serious story. And then we could go anywhere with Ron. So let's get BLM out of the, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, well, they're about to get out of the way in general. Anyway, so from Newsweek, I'm going to read a little bit, folks, here. So bear with me. Black Lives Matter risks going bankrupt. And this is from Newsweek. Black Lives Matter risks going bankrupt after running an $8.5 million deficit last year, financial disclosures indicate. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation saw the value of investment accounts fall by almost $10 million in the most recent tax year, according to a copy of its tax return. The nonprofit's latest Form 990 shows that a loss of just over $961,000 was logged on a securities sale of $172,000. That's like they sold something at a tremendous loss. The disclosure suggests a year of missteps for the foundation, as well as a dramatic drop in donations. Let's skip ahead a little bit to the interesting stuff. Where are we at here? So it says Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Khan-Cullors, I know her full name, acknowledged in an interview that last year that BLM was not prepared to handle the wave of contributions that came in following the murder of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. They weren't prepared to handle the wave of contributions. That's a funny way to put what she did. She stepped down as executive director in 2021 on the heels of controversy over the foundation's finances and her personal wealth.
Her 5 homes.
Cullors told the AP last year that neither she nor anyone else in the leadership misused donations. So, right, what are we? Right, yeah, what are we referring to? Right, like those news stories got published about how she bought all these like multi-million-dollar homes. And all that stuff. And it's funny how she was referencing before that they weren't prepared to handle the wave of contributions. Yeah, they weren't, right? It's like when you win the lottery and you're not prepared to handle it. That's exactly what she did.
and win the lottery. They did. And no one misused donations. I remember over the past 3 years, countless stories of BLM chapter leaders being arrested for fraud and embezzlement. So
Yeah.
So just, another
right. He covered some of them over the
bullshit
course
piece.
of the year. Yeah. So I'll continue here. The nonprofit's latest tax form shows that although Cullors has departed, contracts to her family have continued. Her brother Paul Cullors and his 2 companies were paid $1.6 million for professional security services for the tax period ending June 2022. He is listed as one of only 2 paid employees during the year. So professional security services consists of 2 people.
Yeah.
Right. That's like, if we made it big here and then we wanted to like pay our buddies in the Legion of Doom in order to like launder money, we wanted to pay our buddies in the Legion of Doom, 2 of them, $2 million a year for security. Meanwhile, we do the show like here and at our houses. There's no security
No, we need security. Security.
He's listed as one of 2 paid employees. Let's see. She said last year that protection could not be entrusted to former police officers that typically run security firms, given the movement is known for its stance against law enforcement. According to the organization's Form 990, Bowers Company, Bowers Consulting, was paid almost $1.7 million for management and consulting firms. Let's see. They say while this is not improper per se, it does raise concerns about potential conflicts of interest in governing the organization. So I'd hope the organization would take strides to ensure any such transactions benefited the organization and not individuals affiliated with it, he said. And then it says later, Bowers and the foundation denied claims of financial misconduct. We will end the reading there. So, Giant, we told you so.
Yeah.
About the Black Lives Matter organization. I mean, it feels like an age ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It feels so much has gone on. It's funny, like I'll see stuff about COVID and they'll be like, they told us not to go outside and some of you listened. And like now I sit back and I'm like, now that we're so far removed, this is even more ridiculous to go back and read that shit. Yeah. The same thing with BLM. We told you so. And we told you they were not above board. We told you they were corrupt.
Yeah. And even back then, like I remember the George Floyd protest when everybody was like posting the black squares on their Instagram, and we were like, no, like I'm not gonna do this just because that was like the beginning of like the I support the current thing. Yeah. And I would say that even back then, me and you were both still a little naive over what was really going on, but we were still extremely critical, even in our little naive state, over what they were doing and what was going on. And I looked into like the organization, Patrice Cullors, the founders. We talked about how they were all avowed Marxists, how the organization was not really intended to, in any way whatsoever, support Black lives or anything like that. They were just a communist organization that was intended to push a communist message. And a lot of people pointed that out. A lot of people pointed out that Patrice Cullors was corrupt, was using the funds given to them to buy mansions and all this shit. And it's like the most stereotypical communist. It's like Stalin. Like, yeah, we're about all the people, right? We're going to make sure that all people have equity and whatnot. Meanwhile, he took all the money, took all the food. He robbed the people. They were destitute and poor. This is what communism and Marxism are. Every time you bring it up to some true believer, they're like, well, that wasn't real communism. That wasn't real. It's never real communism. Yeah. It just is what it is at this point. This is what it is. Go ahead.
I'm surprised it took this long to go bankrupt. I'd like to know where all the money went.
Her house.
If they didn't,
the equity she was talking about is within her home now.
Yeah.
Right. That's the equity. She has homeowners equity.
No new schools were built, no new wings of hospitals, no new libraries, no after school programs, no nothing for the Black community. Black lives are no better than they were however many years before BLM started ago. They're no better than when George Floyd got killed. Where did this money go if they didn't misappropriate funds? Where did it go? Simple question. I'm sure if we were to audit that company, it would be an absolute and utter shit show. And once again, they used the black community as a shield. You say BLM is bad, you're racist, you're racist. Instead of actually doing your research, don't question, you don't want to be a racist. And this is what they get. But I also, like I said earlier, yeah, when we were talking personally, I said, yeah, they might be going bankrupt and going out of business, but the election's right around the corner. So business is about to pick up, baby. They'll be out there burning buildings down peacefully in no time. In no time. I think that's such a cash cow, and people were getting paid. And as long as the right people are getting paid, there'll be a new March before next March.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to rule it out either. I remember Garrett, I think, made this point to Samurai about how what they did in 2020, and we're talking about like the deep state through the BLM protest, was essentially some attempt or version of the typical color-coded revolution, right? And if you know what they are, you could look at Europe. There was like all these different revolutions, including the one in Ukraine. I believe it was like an orange revolution or something like that. And this one fits the bill to the most part, right? Even down to the fact that they used a color in order to, stage some sort of soft revolution in the country. There was
do away with the police.
Right. In some extent, however you view it, it was interesting. It was different. It was like we said before, it was kind of like
the thing to support.
The first thing, the first time they tried this, of like the thing to support. I'd say maybe it was. It's like arguable what was first, like COVID or this, because it was right around the same time. But I feel like I don't know, like the COVID stuff, like the I support the current thing about COVID stuff hadn't really taken a hold yet because it was so new.
I think the vaccine was like the thing I support.
For the most part. Right? That's when like the profile photo frames and the sticker images and Instagram stories and like the shaming began behind it. If you didn't support the current thing. Yeah, so it's tied back to that, man, and it was all a scam. And the biggest victims of the scam are who? The people that the scam purported to represent, the people who donated to the organization, like their money basically went to one person's individual wealth and her family. Yeah, it's just, we told you so. I don't know how else to. I just wanted to point it out. It's a great.
I would love to look into. I'd love to look into her brother's history and the security company that they have, because I guarantee you, like, BLM started like May 1st and the security company started May 2nd. It's only ever had one client, and it just so happened to have a 4-year deal for $6 million. Like,
he probably has like the same amount of experience in the security industry as Hunter Biden did in the gas industry, that sort of deal. None at all.
Exactly. It was just such an easy loophole to be like, all right, we're gonna fucking put money into the family, and that's that.
Right. And under the table, she enriched her family and herself, but it was under the guise of paying for protection, just like Hunter Biden enriched himself and his family under the guise of he's on the board of Burisma and he's here to advise us and whatever they want to make up.
Oh, it's good. If you ever win the lottery, I'll work security for you for $1 million a year, and it'll be all untaxable.
Not even judging him for it. Not even judging him for it. Just if you're gonna be a criminal, just be out front about it. You know what I mean? Like I will like that. That's why I don't hate Trump that much, just because at least he's upfront about it, right? What was his famous line where he was like, "Yeah, that makes me smart." When he was saying how
about the taxes,
about the tax codes and whatnot. And he's just saying, if you want to fix the taxes in this country, change the tax laws that you wrote.
Close the corporate loopholes that every corporation, every entity gets to follow through on, which every politician operates as an entity. Every billionaire operates as an entity.
Right. Exactly. Who wrote those rules?
Yeah.
So that's a story. That seems to be the last chapter, no pun intended, of Black Lives Matter. Yeah.
I really think, in several months, my prediction personally is, there's going to be some incident somewhere, and be, right around election time, there will be, an uprising of BLM again.
I will not rule it out. And I think this is a good time to segue into the next thing we're going to talk about, actually, which is the Bud Light. Briefly, we're just going to touch on the Bud Light thing. And I think, the way I want to segue into this is because...
Can they see us when this is up? Because
they should be able to. So the way I want to segue, and the point I kind of want to make now, what's in the back of my head, is that there was power in the Black Lives Movement originally when this was going on. And the left has continuously proven over the past 100 fucking years that like if you could get everybody together and make enough noise and concentrate on something. How many of the corporations, right, like started posting the Black Lives Matter thing? I think I logged on to Call of Duty and it was on the main screen in Warzone.
Yep.
And the left has consistently proven that if you get up, you get loud, you get a little bit violent in the streets. I'm even going to say that because that's what they have done. Things can change. So let's segue to Bud Light. And this is from Benny Johnson. And he says, would you look at that? Anheuser-Busch stock just crashed to its lowest trading value for all of 2023 with absolutely no end in sight. And Bud Light has lost over $10 billion in market cap since the boycott. Strong men killed the Bud Light brand. Take a bow, my boys. We are powerful. So I agree. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Also, Mike G from Fundamental Opposites also just tweeted at me out of nowhere. Let's see, at mentions. Because me and him had a little bit of a debate about this. Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. Yep, Mike G tweeted at me. He goes, I will officially admit now that I may be eating my own words. Because Mike G, back when this first began, was like, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. The conservatives are not going to hold it together and affect anything. And I was like, I think they are, dude. I was like, you also got to understand that, like with the stock market, prices don't move until quarterly earnings reports start happening. So that's like the time we're getting around now, the quarterly earnings reports, and the price is starting to move. At the same time, how many anecdotal things do me and you have, or people have told us, friends, oh man, like we can't sell any Bud Light. We can't sell any Bud Light here. Distributors, the bars don't want to sell it. All of that, on top of the fact that their sales are down like 26%, shows you that conservatives do have power if they want to affect culture in the country. They really do.
It's an amazing sight. No turning back. Even I would like Anheuser-Busch to put out an apology and admit that they were fucking wrong for doing this. But I'd say even after that, there's no turning back. We let them die.
The apology from the CEO was like, it's just one can.
Yeah.
He told, I think, to like a closed door meeting with like some major stakeholders. That's his apology. It's just one can.
They'll never circle back. They'll never apologize. They'll never admit they're wrong. And that's why we need to keep doing this. Everybody going after Target. Everybody's going after Miller Lite now for their new shit. We have to fight this. There's, part of my Twitter rant, like we're not being nice to people anymore. It's time to start being mean. There's two sides of this battle. And if one side sits down and is quiet the entire time, the other side's going to win. This is where we start fighting back, people. They made beer gay, and we're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. Again, sometimes the reaction to things, as I always say, is way more interesting than the things itself.
Yeah.
When this first happened, we told some of our buddies about it, and they were like, that's not going to change anything. Nothing's going to happen. And we were like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
No, we were right.
And then we stopped buying.
Stop having that mentality, that defeatist mentality, right? That they're trying.
That's the brainwashing.
Right. They want to ingrain that. Yes, they want to ingrain that in everybody. That like whatever. There's nothing I can do. They want to ingrain that demoralization.
And they put labels on everything. So you don't like Dylan, so you must be transphobic. Right. Not transphobic. Just you're not making my beer gay.
Yeah.
And marketing is simple. If you have 20 million people in an area and 19 million people like your product, why are you going to market to the 1 million people who don't like your product? It's retarded.
So I think I could actually have I have a theory behind why they're even doing this, right? Because you're seeing this wave of all of these companies. And it's because if they were actually free market capitalists or libertarians, they would be interested in playing in the market, right? They'd be interested in capturing their demographic, selling to their demographic better than Constellation Brands does, right? That's like free market competition. I think a lot of these companies are really not that interested in that anymore. They're more so interested in ESG, environmental, social governance.
I was going to say, what is the corporate equity index?
Right. That's all the same thing. Yeah. They're more so interested in that because that gives them access to like BlackRock funds, the Federal Reserve, the power centers that print free money and hand it away to everyone. That's what they're interested in. They can maintain their gigantic status as these huge corporations without having even fucking sell you a product. Bud Light right now is offering a $20 rebate on a $20,
buybacks.
you know, because they're just getting Federal Reserve money from BlackRock and everybody. That's it. That's what they're really interested in. Robbie the Fire Bernstein had a great thing where he's like, the elites don't want to compete. They don't want to compete. They just want to have the marketplace cornered. So it's like, we get free money. So even if no one wants to buy our thing, well, too bad. We're going to exist anyway. We're also going to try and like rig the market in our favor through mandates and the power of the government behind us, et cetera, et cetera. This does show though that people do still have power and that there is still a free market to some extent, and they do still have to operate by that bounds somewhat. Yeah.
And this is a coordinated psyop, because any company, let's just say Bud Light was first, no other company is going to be like, hold my beer as I make the gay raptor. Ford did it. Adidas did it. Miller Lite did it. Target did it. You know, these are 4 huge major corporations. Anybody with a head on their shoulders, or anybody who's not nefarious and doesn't have money coming from somewhere else, would look at Bud Light's marketing scheme and go, I'm not going to do that. I'm not crazy. I'm here to make money. Therefore, there is alternate ways for them to make money. Yeah. This is a coordinated psyop. That's why these huge companies are doing and pulling shit like this. At the end of the day, they don't care about losing the money. But
then you guys, sorry.
I'm sorry. But, you know, as you were saying, this is a double-edged sword. The good thing is we could boycott these companies, right? And clearly we have the power to do it, and people understand now we have the power, we could do it. But I have a funny feeling that this progressive agenda is going to go so far that like every beer company is gay, every car company is gay. Like, don't forget, June is a few days away, and that's Pride Month. I can only imagine the marketing campaigns that they're going to pull out.
You're seeing that. That's why you're at the same. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. That's also one of the reasons why you're seeing you know, so many of these campaigns come out. But one of the points I wanted to make, last point maybe on this, is going back to the initiation of this. For me, at least, and for most people, it wasn't even about like gay or LGBT or anything. It was about Dylan Mulvaney and the nuance behind why people don't like Dylan Mulvaney and why people thought it was wrong to choose that person as the marketing face of Bud Light. And it's because Dylan Mulvaney's prime demographic that he reaches on TikTok is children. And he's a trans activist that's not even actually trans. It's just a dude who dresses up like a woman and then calls himself trans. Not like he's even gotten any fucking surgeries or anything. And if you listen to the marketing head of Bud Light's talk at the time, she was saying how like marketing to the frat boy is like an aging, dying demographic. We need to like focus. We need to focus on the new generation of new customers, etc. And then they hire Dylan Mulvaney. So now, please explain to me how Dylan Mulvaney is not targeting children with his videos and whatnot. Why did Bud Light hire Dylan Mulvaney if they're looking to target children, which is fucked up even to begin with, right? Like, you remember back in the day, cigarette companies targeting children with like Camel and all that shit. That's Camel. All this is. That's all this is. It's just a different version of that. Using someone. Dylan Mulvaney is basically the fucking Camel now, right? And they're targeting children, trying to convince them to buy Bud Light when they grow up. I think that's even fucked up. We shouldn't be marketing beer towards children when they get But on top of that, they're trying to fucking trans them as well. Yeah,
it's all a coordinated event to groom the children, to confuse the children, right? To weaken our future. It's all about weakening our future at the end of the day. I'll say it on every episode. When they kick that door down, they don't want people like me and you on the other side.
Yeah, that's the psyop. And it's not all related to, you know, the CIA lab, but a lot of it just falls in place or is trying to play the marketplace based on ESG, all these things. So,
you know, it's a funny thing. If Bud Light really wasn't marketing to children, let's just say they're not nefarious. They are. Everybody's nefarious, but let's just say they're not nefarious, and they wanted to be inclusive, and they wanted this trans or LGBTQ community idea. Why didn't they hire Caitlyn Jenner? A perfect celebrity, huge name recognition, huge following, a fucking world-class athlete, You know what I mean? Like, I could see a marketing campaign behind, you want to be inclusive. There's right ways to do things and there's wrong ways to do things, no matter what you're talking about doing, right? Dylan Mulvaney is clearly grooming children, targeting children to buy and want Bud Light, where Caitlyn Jenner would just be another ad campaign for people like me and you who are the everyday average Bud Light drinker.
Yeah, well, he's a manly dude at the end of the day, even though he's a woman now, right?
Still got fucking balls. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Again, these companies don't care. Like, are they
No.
is Bud Light pushing an LGBTQ campaign in China? No, they're not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're probably pushing the manliest fucking man. I think everyone's just at
Just,
the end of the day,
love,
they're just all beholden to whatever the state psyop, the state thing is, and that's the thing here right now.
Maybe we'll have a segment on during Pride Month of all the companies that changed their logo to the rainbow, but their Saudi Arabia company version is still their regular colors.
Yeah,
they would never.
Either that or they're like, they've changed it to them throwing a gay person off the top of a roof or something. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. So that's the story on that. Let's switch gears and
Ron DeSantis.
Let's talk about.
Hold on, let me see if this helps my cat.
That's all right. But I was going to introduce this one as probably the most bizarre. I already knew this was going to happen. Announcement of a presidential campaign that's ever happened. Like, Ron DeSantis has, everyone knows he's basically running for president, right? For the past couple of months,
wasting his time running for president.
Even with Trump, at least Trump, like the day after midterms, came out and said he was going to run for president. But everybody knew before that he was gonna. But they play this game where I don't know, am I or not?
Suspense.
Yeah,
we're being held in suspense.
Yeah, and even on a micro level, Ron is supposed to have a Twitter space with Elon tonight where he announces this. But everybody now already knows that he's going to announce anyway because his wife posted a video and then at the end it said text launch to whatever. Oh, so he's running for president. Like, there's no suspense anymore. They're not even good at marketing, and I just find this shit so goddamn cringe that the way they're launching these campaigns and pretending that they're not running, but they are. Just bananas. Well, we'll get into it, the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah. Well, anybody in politics right now that is, so you run for president, you run for office, you have a campaign manager. Anybody whose manager is managing them to run for president against Trump right now is being mismanaged, as far as I'm concerned. You have slightly no chance in hell of becoming the Republican primary. The only people I see running for office right now are rhinos, Republicans in name only, just controlled guys that are only there to try and take a percentage of votes away from Trump.
I don't necessarily think every single person is a rhino. Like, I'll say Vivek Ramaswamy. I do not think he is a rhino whatsoever. I think he is invaluable in the Republican primary, Vivek, because he is not necessarily running against Trump. He's been very complimentary of Trump, but he's trying to make sure that this is the way I view Vivek. I could be wrong. He's very well spoken. He's sticking to issues that perhaps might be a blind spot for Trump. He's in a sense, doing what the Libertarian Party wants to do, which is kind of hold these good Republicans accountable, but within the Republican primary itself. He's not done it the way Ron DeSantis has. It's different. So I don't think Vivek is a rhino or something like that. He's not even actually a politician at this point. He's just a businessman.
Okay, so that means he could be bought. But where is he polling? Is he polling under DeSantis?
Yeah.
By
I
what?
don't know exactly, but I'll probably consider it amount. Sure.
Yeah. So I really feel anybody that's running right now is just wasting their time, including Ron DeSantis, and it's only making my suspicions about him grow. So let's get into the meat and potatoes, and then I spoke to Professor Giordano a little bit about him, and
tell me about that. That's interesting. I told Chris not to tell me because you were, for context, you were with Professor Giordano, weren't you?
Yes.
So you guys were shooting the shit.
And so I've mentioned this before. I have not lied about it. I have newfound suspicions in Ron DeSantis that he could be controlled opposition. I always said the establishment needs to pull back. What if they just, like how in chess you sacrifice a pawn, right?
Mhm.
What if they sacrificed Florida? They installed a guy in Florida. They know COVID's bullshit. They know the vaccine's bullshit. Yes, I said it, YouTube. What if they install this guy in there to just do the opposite of everything they're doing? It's not a difficult game plan, right? Just do the opposite of what we're doing, and people will flock to you. People will love you. Because at the end of the day, all it is about is getting votes away from Trump. So you have the Republicans who just, they're not strong enough to deal with Trump's brash attitude, and they don't want to vote for him. So they have DeSantis to vote for. You get RFK Jr., a moderate Democrat on the other side. He doesn't look like this progressive nut job that like the rest of the party. So now you get the disenfranchised Democrats who would have voted for Trump to vote for RFK, right? So it's all about just taking.
But what do you mean? What do you mean the disenfranchised Democrats that would have voted for Trump and they'll vote for RFK? The only reason why that would impact Trump in any way, it would be as if RFK were running up against Trump.
Fine, yes.
Like that's not going to happen.
Well, I feel he's there to stop anybody who would jump the fence and now register as Republican to think twice and stay Democrat so they have someone to vote for. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Like I've even thought about changing my party affiliation right now to Democrat just to vote for RFK to try and fuck over Biden. So that wouldn't, again, I'm a libertarian, so that's where I would be anyway. I wouldn't be voting in the Republican primary anyway. But even if I were, Trump is going to win. He's going to win the Republican primary. I was actually looking at the from 538, the most recent poll, I guess, of today. I don't know exactly where they're getting the numbers from, but Trump is polling at 54.4%, and DeSantis is. And actually, if you look at the data, I'll show it here. Sorry, we're on Zoom. Forgot. If you look at the trend, it's splitting, right? So Trump is going up and he's at 54, and DeSantis is going down.
Yep.
It's not telling me here, whatever DeSantis is, but is that
late May?
He's a little bit. I think at like 22%, and Vivek is all the way down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
what I'm talking about.
One last point, real quick. It will be interesting to check on this now after DeSantis officially runs. I'm wondering if this is a thought I was having earlier today. Like, I do wonder if there is some value. Like me and you are here, like, oh, it's so dumb how he's like been pretending he's not running for president, but we knew he was. Maybe we misunderestimate how many normies there are, and they really had no idea. Now they're gonna like hear that Ron DeSantis is running for president, and maybe that will affect these numbers somehow. I still don't think they're going to be able to beat Trump, but maybe I will be like if there's a bump from now him saying officially.
I'm sure there'll be a bump just because it'll be trending on Twitter and trending on social media.
Yeah.
And the media is going to eat it up because they need something to eat up. So anyway, so everything I'm talking all conspiracies and shit and stuff. So I was sitting there with Professor Giordano, and I asked him his thoughts, and what he felt is DeSantis is wasting his time. He's a young man. All he needs to do to become president is wait until the next election. It's all he needs to do, and he'll be a complete shoo-in. Now, obviously, Professor Giordano doesn't have the conspiratorial side of him that I have and stuff.
Yeah, that's good. He keeps you honest. Yeah.
Right. And, he said he did great for Florida. Our mutual family member that lives down there loves all the benefits. People are flocking to Florida. For all intents and purposes, Ron DeSantis is a great governor and would be a great president if he is on the up and up. But Professor Giordano feels that, he knows it's going to be Trump, and two, he feels it needs to be Trump to correct all the nonsense that has gone on. And so I asked him then, do you think DeSantis could be controlled opposition? He said, no, I don't think DeSantis is currently controlled opposition. But the major difference between DeSantis and Trump is Trump can't be bought, and there is a price tag somewhere along the line for DeSantis. So if he's not already corrupted, he can potentially be corrupted further down the line.
Sure.
And I think that's a big opening and a big weakness. And for the establishment to gain him to make him deep state if he already isn't deep state, that'd be a hell of a weapon to have in their arsenal.
Yeah,
completely blindside everyone.
I like it. I like it. I will akin it very similar to probably what I think or how I will end up voting here. And when we were last Friday, when we were sitting around that table,
you're ready to vote for Trump,
cigars,
yeah.
And I was like, look, I was explaining to our buddies, I was like, I'm probably going to vote for Trump at this point because with how wronged Trump has been by the system and his ego, he's probably going to go in there and execute Schedule F, like fire everyone, burn everything to the ground. Me as an anarchist, I think that's amazing. That's great. Yep. Destroy it all. Rid us of as many government employees as possible. Now, he's probably going to do that for himself, not necessarily for us, for himself and his ego. But me, I'm even more selfish. Good. Destroy the government for me with your own selfish ego. I don't give a fuck how it gets done.
Still I just want it you.
To get done. Now, I think now the book for me still remains to be seen, or the jury's still out, because I've seen Trump not always follow through on these certain things, like keeping Fauci on board, and he brought on Colonel Douglas McGregor, who was going to bring all the troops out of Syria, and then like 2 weeks later he rescinded the order. So I hope Trump. I hope for the best. I'm an optimist, a white pill person. I hope that James and Alan, they're 100% right. Trump's going to go in there. Schedule F. I've learned my lesson. There is no fucking negotiating with these people. We're going to get rid of them all. I hope that's the case, and that probably will be the case. We'll see. Yeah. With DeSantis, I don't think there's this grand conspiracy that you're making out to be. I do think he did good things, and that's valuable. I don't want us to be in this mindset where, like, anyone who does something good, we immediately dismiss them because there's some sort of double agent. But he has not been wronged at the same level that Trump has, and he doesn't have that axe to grind that Trump has. I do see DeSantis coming in as, if he were to win or something, he would be an outsider to an extent, a little bit more combative, but I don't see him having, like, aligning with my anarchist goal of destroying everything. I see him as being someone like, all right, look, we got to fix this fucking place. We have to reform the FBI. We have to reform the Federal Reserve. We have to fix all these things instead of just firing everybody and close the fucking thing down. I think he would be more inclined to do what Trump did his first time around, and is like try to work within the system to fix the system instead of burning the fucking system down around. So that's why I probably wouldn't vote for him if I had somehow a choice between the two.
Right. And I don't disagree. The best way I could put it is, whether he is a double agent or controlled opposition, blah, 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 we will find out sooner than later. Because if you look at it this way, if I'm not mistaken, DeSantis has always voted in favor to send more money to Ukraine.
What do you mean? No, that's not true, because he's been the governor. He doesn't have a vote on that.
So, okay. So then I was mistaken then. So move on from that. I was saying, I think
fact check. Really?
Yeah, that's fine. Fact check me. I said before, I said, if I'm not mistaken, and I was.
Okay.
So, shit, now I threw myself
off.
I'll
piggyback off. Go ahead. I was gonna say, I'll piggyback off of what you're saying. Like, one of my biggest beefs with him is the Ukraine stuff, right? I remember a month ago, it was Tucker reached out to every Republican candidate and asked them, give me your position on Ukraine in writing.
This is maybe what I was thinking about.
Yes. He said, give me your position in writing and I'll read it on the show. And he did. And Trump's was spot on. Just sounded very similar to how he sounded in the CNN town hall. We got to end the war. I can end it real quick, 24 hours. DeSantis had also a good take, essentially an anti-war take, that it's not in America's interest, blah, 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 I want to end the war. And then, like, the next day, he kind of backpedaled on what he said. And I don't remember the specifics. I'm sorry, folks, but trust me, he backpedaled like the very next day.
That's what I think
exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And now me, again, as an outsider, the most important issue, in my opinion, is the war. If we continue to get deeper involved in the war, there's a likelihood of nuclear war, which means there's a likelihood of the end of humanity, which means we can't fix all the other fucking problems because we're all dead. We can't fix the border if we're all dead. Can't fix the economy if we're all dead. So whoever is the best
everything
person,
will be fixed.
Yeah, because it'll just be empty. It'll just be nothingness. But the most important issue to me is the war, and the only person right now besides Vivek who's also good on it, but he's not obviously a non-factor, is Trump. He's perfect on it, and DeSantis has already shown. So to indulge your conspiracy side of things, it is suspicious that he had a good take on one day and then he backtracked on the next day. It seems like
that
to an
email.
extent, right? He got an email or an advisor was like, hey, if you want to win this thing, you're going to need the establishment's backing. So you better toe the company line here on the most important issue, because don't forget, it's not just my most important issue. What did Mitch McConnell say? He said it's their most important issue as well. So that should fucking tell you all you need to know.
Yeah. That's what I'm just, my biggest thing to say about DeSantis is be cautious, proceed with caution, anything we're in. I think if anything that has been proven in the past several years is that nothing seems the way it's supposed to be. They will lie to you about anything they want, anything they can lie to you about, so just have your guard up. You know what I mean? Like, one simple, do your research, like we've been saying since episode 1.
Yeah. Another comment I'll make, man, is this is going to be a war here. I think Dave Smith tweeted earlier. He's like, the only way DeSantis is winning this is if he goes all out to war with Trump, and it's like it's going to be.
And I don't see him winning that either.
And regardless, man, like they've already, like, I'm sorry,
the media is going to want that. The media is going to want that,
probably, because it'll sell views. But man, like from my outsider point of view, the online discourse has been so goddamn cringe between what Alan would call like the Florida, DeSantis industrial complex and the MAGA people. I mean, like going after each other's wives, talking about shoes and mannerisms, and oh my God. That's why, yes, I agree. Like, that's why it's bad, because like instead of going after like substantive issues like the war in Ukraine, I fucking stressed this so many times to our MAGA people, please tell Trump, go after DeSantis on Ukraine, like hit him where it matters. Instead, they're like nitpicking each other's shoes and going after their wives, saying Casey DeSantis is really behind Ron, like, he's not a real man because his wife is bossing around. Dude, that's not going to convince me to vote for Trump. You know what I mean? And vice versa, the Trump people, like this guy's named Pedro Gonzalez. When I was on We the People last week, I brought him up. The guy, every tweet is about Trump in some negative way. And he's so obviously pro DeSantis, being paid probably by DeSantis. I was like, Jesus Christ, like, do you even spend an ounce of time anymore opposing the regime? The regime still exists while this is all going on, by the way. The deep state regime, like, are they worth a mention every once in a while? Or is it you're just only now focused on Trump? It's exhausting. And it's cringe. It's not even, it's not positive in any way. It's
going to be, and what's going to be a big tell is if the media just loves and eats up everything DeSantis does. That's how I'll know he's on the take. That's going to be a hard one. That's going to be a hard one for me to let go if all of a sudden CNN just loves DeSantis. Yeah.
I guess this could be a positive, in my opinion. Like, the primary could be good because they could be pointing out each other's, and maybe we'll see, like, if they do a debate, maybe they will in real time, like, point out each other's flaws, and that will get them to be better, both of them. But so far, and it's still early, I'm not seeing how, like, it should be making them both better. Like, a good competition and a good debate is good for everybody. But instead, it really is. Instead, we're getting the opposite. We're getting like schoolyard shit talk, nothing positive from it whatsoever.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but if you look at everything we've been talking about, it's because there is no good competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, BLM didn't want any competition.
So you don't think that DeSantis is good competition for Trump?
No, I think he would be if they went about it in the manner you're speaking. But all we've seen so far is your shoes, your wife.
But whose fault is that? See, I actually think that I think that DeSantis, I don't think he's going to win. I think obviously Trump's going to win, but I do think he's a threat. I do think he's a threat, because if he was Vivek Ramaswamy or Nikki Haley or whoever, they would not be this, this all-out campaign on both sides attacking each other, right? Like, they view him as a threat. Now, it might be a little threat, but they view him as a threat so much. Why? They view him as a threat because deep down inside the mind of every Trump supporter, they know he's been successful, right? And I know there's like the backstabbing angle to it and everything. I understand that 100%. But he is a threat to some extent because he's been successful and he has a resume. I mean, you can nitpick every one of those things.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying, is that it should be a good thing, because we should be adults and be able to, like, say, like, okay, well, Trump kept Fauci on board while DeSantis was a major critic of the vaccine regime, right? Like, that would be good. That should make Trump better. And we could point out, then Trump could point out, hey, man, you're fucking backtracking on the war in Ukraine. Like, what's wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah. And then they should both get better. But instead, we're talking about each other's wives. And I don't know what goes into paying a porn star or whatever. It's like, dude, what?
Yeah, we're gonna see quickly how it's everything we're talking about. That this is like a good thing between DeSantis and Trump, and whether he's deep state or not, or whether how this, we are going to learn. We're gonna have all these questions that we're bringing up answered sooner than later.
Yeah,
just
maybe.
by the way the media will treat them. Just the way that the media will treat this will answer all of our questions.
It's early, and maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic of thinking that people are adults, grown ass adults, right? Like,
no,
it
they're
seems
not.
like, politics has become high school at this point in time, and actually, that's a good thing. I think they've dropped all pretenses of them being serious people. At this point, So I don't know. Let's go on. Let's. You want to get into a couple tweets of the week, man, or anything else you want to go into? I know you have a rant.
Yes, I do.
I have a lot of tweets, by the way, folks. I got 8 tweets.
Yeah, and I think I got a few
in a minute. So each one will kind of have a little subtopic. So,
right. So I don't like Twitter. I don't like being on Twitter. I don't like using Twitter. I can't stand Twitter. We have to nuke the podcast page and start from ground zero. I might even wait to get a new phone so they don't even see my IP address when we restart the page. I hate it. So you had said something.
So for context, real quick, I went on the Two Doom Men Twitter page today to do something, and I did see it says, dude, you're only seeing like AOC, Joe Walsh, Gavin Newsom, like you're only seeing
Brooklyn, just the top of these.
And you're only seeing famous people. You are not seeing normal people at all, where I do see normal people as well.
I don't see anything normal. So we were talking about how we can't be nice to people anymore. And we were talking, remember the few episodes back when we were talking about Chelsea Clinton wanting to put the This Is Gay book or whatever back in the curriculum.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were like, it's time to, like you said, we can't give these people the benefit of the doubt anymore. They are nefarious. Right. So I had read something on Truth Social where this guy said, he goes, the voter remorse for Biden has to be astronomical right now. At the very minimum, if you don't regret voting for him, as long as you have an operational brain in your head, at some point you're waking up to at least questioning, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. Yeah, at least like some people are at like stage 1 of like questioning and waking up to this nonsense. But for everybody else, they're just completely lost or they're nefarious. And I go on Twitter, and these people are educated people, indoctrinated, educated people, but they're nefarious. It's to the point where I read things about Trump, I read things about McCarthy, and it's not just Trump derangement syndrome, it's GOP derangement syndrome. Anybody who's a Republican needs to resign. Anybody who's a Republican needs to be put in jail, needs to be silenced. It's all, we hate you because you are not part of my team. They've been calling for McCarthy to resign, Justice Thomas. I haven't even heard about what he's been doing, but every day they want to decimate the Supreme Court just because it is not a Democrat majority Supreme Court. If it was a Democrat
we've talked
majority,
about that before, right?
They'd have no problems.
The court's illegitimate. We need to replace all the Republican appointees because the court's illegitimate, because the court is doing things conservatives want to do. So we got to replace them to make it fair, so that they'll do only things that progressives want to do.
I mean, I saw a guy complaining that McCarthy went out for dinner. The guy's, you know what I mean? Like, this is
Jesus Christ, the guy can't even get a bite to eat anymore.
Joe Biden can go.
I don't like him, but at least give him that. He could get food.
Joe Biden could go to Delaware every weekend of his presidency, and nobody says shit. But McCarthy goes out for one dinner and he needs to resign. These people are nefarious. They're paid grift.
What were they trying to say? That he should be working on
because,
getting the debt ceiling
because the debt ceiling and all that stuff.
You're not
allowed to eat. You're not
I don't think people
sleep.
realize like that's our salvation. If for some reason they can't pass the debt ceiling and the
Because
government
they're brainwashed,
closes shop, I get my wish list. The government, not
Me too.
100%, but for the most part, they cease to exist. And
Default, baby.
And we get the experiment. Here comes Ancapistan.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what happens, but not exactly. But yeah, that's so funny, right? Like you can't even go get dinner because you should be in there negotiating.
Just because I don't like you, you can't get dinner. It is just, oh God, it is
so
dribble.
I real quick, I violently disagree with you. You said that these people are educated. I think they are not educated.
I said indoctrinated, educated.
You did say okay. I don't see like the psyop people, like the Brooklyn Dad class on Twitter. They're not smart. I don't think they have they might know how to use Twitter good. They might know how to like manipulate people and get instructions and put out propaganda, but I don't see them as actually intelligent people. I don't think they have any understanding of history. They surely don't have any understanding of economics in any way whatsoever. Like in reality, like you could be like the Krasenstein bros, right? I'm sure I think Garrett's mentioned them to you before. I do think that the Krasenstein bros are actually very intelligent dudes. They're just propagandists on top of that. But I can tell that there's some sort of understanding of reality in the Krasenstein bros. Brooklyn Dad, man, that fucking guy doesn't know anything. He's just there to take his marching orders and just grift. And you can be a grifter, but you can be smart. What I'm saying is the majority of these people are not impressive. They're not intelligent. They're just following orders and throwing shit at the wall. Like it doesn't take much to do that. They don't have an understanding of history or economics or anything in any regard. So I disagree with you on that point.
That's fine, but I can't believe that this many people are brainwashed compared to nefarious intentions. It's a uniparty system.
Both. Yeah,
they would agree with having a uniparty system. Just one party, their party. Fuck all.
Here's the thing. We have a uniparty system.
True.
They're just too stupid to understand that.
Yes.
Like I'm saying, right again, they don't understand anything.
Yeah.
They don't even understand politics. They keep pretending, a lot of them, or a lot of them have fully bought into that. Like, yes, McCarthy is bad. Dude, McCarthy is on your side. Is on most of these DNC paid shill's side. McConnell is on their side. It is a uniparty, but they're pretending like it's not a uniparty.
That's why I say they're nefarious.
I'm saying that, so it could be a little bit of a mix of both. Like they're pretending like McCarthy and McConnell are not on their side when they clearly are on their side. It's all just a fucking act. So yeah, it's nefarious. It's also just complete ignorance of the real world. Let's get into some tweets.
I can't take Twitter anymore. Fucking nonsense.
So let's get into some tweets. I got a bunch. Let's start off with mine. I got so many, I don't even remember what they are anymore at this point. So we'll see. It's from Martyr Made. Trump subjected to unalloyed judicial persecution. Bolsonaro's residence raided. Imran Khan arrested by the Pakistani army after accusing the CIA of ousting him. CIA-sponsored coup against Erdogan in Turkey. CIA campaign against MBS and Netanyahu. Putin's in the crosshairs. A dozen color revolutions. Gaddafi dead. Saddam dead. Assad barely survived because of all the shucks. Who us? Freedom and democracy veneer. It's easy to lose sight of what an absolute belligerent menace the United States has become in the world. I thought that was, I remember now, I thought that was well said. I even commented, I'm like, don't forget Yanukovych overthrown in Ukraine, Shinzo Abe assassinated in Japan, and Jovenel Moise's assassination in Haiti. That's just like a few things that have gone on in the world that always seem to point back to the United States.
America's the bad guy
being involved. How many political actions? Man, remember when me and you read how many like coups in South America have been staged by the United States? Like there's so many, and they're still going on all the time. Like the list was thousands. Yeah, I mean, really, just the federal government of this country is just insane.
Oh, what's this? Okay, here's a good one. This is another perpetrator of the nonsense. I'd rather shove a red hot poker in my eye than watch tonight's CNN town hall with sexual abuser Donald Trump. Remember, you can see all the key clips here on Twitter anyway. Do not watch, tank the ratings, send a message to CNN. So forget him crying, I'm going to stick hot pokers in my mouth. If you are advocating to tank CNN, by all, baby, tank CNN. Let's go.
Baby.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. You're only helping the cause, my friend.
Yep. All right. So I have a funny one. Let's go to my last tweet of the week. And it surprisingly is by John Cooper.
Nice.
And what does John Cooper say? He goes, I'd rather shove a red hot poker in my eye than watch Ron DeSantis chat with Elon Musk on Twitter. How about you? So, I mean, right there, we inadvertently, me and the captain, we don't share our, I mean, we share them on the paper. We don't look at them. We inadvertently shared the NPCs NPCing right here. I mean, he has the same.
He's not even changing it up.
Yeah. Right. He's just using.
Is this guy even real? Is this AI?
He might be an AI. I actually got a lot of likes on this. I go rooting for you to do that opposed to watching it. Meaning I'm rooting for him to poke himself in the eye.
Yeah, I understand.
He seems to want to. He seems to really,
he can't wait to burn. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. These people want to burn their eyes out, then give the opposing party a platform to speak.
Yeah. Now, again, it comes down to, like, is he just saying that to, be subversive on the internet? Or does he really mean that? Like, he won't listen to the other side at all. Yeah. Either way, it's pathetic and just dumb. When Biden was up there doing his town hall, not that I watched it live, but like I watched the clips, I listened to what he had to say.
Oh, you mean you did?
Then we come on here and we comment on it, or whatever.
You mean to tell me you didn't want to poke your eyeballs out with
sometimes
red hot irons?
He makes me want to poke my eyeballs out sometimes, but I don't. I'm invested in political discourse and seeing what it is.
Oh, this is Elon Musk. Should be Elon Musk. No, okay. From how do you say his name? Dabrowski. Yeah. CNN's Jack Taper is spreading fake news about this is how old this one is spreading fake news about the Durham report, claiming it is devastating to the FBI and that it exonerates Donald Trump. Despite the report doing neither of those things, very dangerous disinformation and factually incorrect reporting coming from CNN. Once again, I mean, just double down on the lie. Does not matter what proof is out there. Doesn't matter what comes. Sooner or later, there's going to be a video that comes out of like Biden doing something. There's going to be a gotcha, caught you red-handed video coming out. And people like this fucking moron are going to be like, no, that's not real. Don't believe what your eyes are seeing. Yeah. That's misinformation.
So I think Dash here, I know Dash, Dash is an example of the nefarious take, like we're talking about here. Anyone can read the Durham report. A lot of people have read the Durham report. A lot of people done podcasts about it. Even Jake Tapper, right, said it on CNN. It's kind of shocking. That's how bad it was that they even had to admit it. It does basically exonerate Donald Trump. I don't see anywhere in this comment Dash Dabrowski pointing to any sort of facts whatsoever about like supporting his argument. He's just making like a not true, like you're in kindergarten, and then not
fake news. It's fake news.
Like he's just saying, right? No, not true, and he's not presenting anything to actually back up his argument. Yeah. He has no argument. He's just saying, no, it's not true.
Doubling down on the lie.
Yeah, this guy is one of those nefarious people, without a doubt.
Yeah. So I did have the Elon Musk one. I must have deleted it if it's not there anymore.
No, it's here. It's just got pushed down. Whoops.
Oh, okay.
Let me go to one mic. I got so many. We got to break them up here.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I thought I lost mine.
This is from Michael Tracy. He says, it used to be a right-wing ritual to pounce on whatever tangential bits of evidence they could to declare every small-scale attacker with mental problems a devoted adherent of radical Islamic ideology. Now it's the left liberals who want everyone petrified of literal Nazi ideology. So big words here.
That was words too. My ears hurt.
Sorry. It used to be a right-wing ritual. Essentially, it used to be a right-wing ritual to make everyone afraid of Islamic terrorism, right? Back in the day. Everywhere you went, the terrorists, they're going to get us, freedom fries, all this shit. Now it's the left liberals who want everyone petrified of literal Nazi ideology. So it's
the Nazis.
Same thing. It's the same thing. Just now they're doing it. The other side is doing it. There was a there was like a box truck that crashed into the White House like gate the other day. And it was an empty box truck. It was driven by an Indian guy, and they're saying he's a white supremacist Nazi because a literal Nazi flag was on the ground outside the truck, perfectly laid out flatly on the ground. Sorry, man. Look, I don't even need proof. I'm gonna do the Dash Dabrowski here. They probably just got like Nazi flags in their pocket, like federal agents, and whenever something happens, they're like, "Oh shit!" They just throw them out there to support their agenda. It makes no sense. It's so obvious. It makes no sense in these regards that I don't even need any fucking proof that this guy is not
just like they found the teeth of the hijackers in 9/11,
right? Or the passports. You know, it's so ridiculous. I don't need evidence to back up that it's ridiculous. All right, let's go to Elon.
What's interesting about that is also we were claiming back then everything was Islamic terrorism to get into war.
Yeah,
in the
it's
Middle
the same
East.
fucking thing.
No, it is the same thing. But the funny thing is the Nazi part that the left wing is referring to is people like me and you. To them, we are Nazis.
Yeah, and don't forget, they want a war against us, a domestic war of terrorism, right?
Yes.
So it's the same fucking thing, just different people this time, right? So again, I hope conservatives learn a lesson from this, right? Like the Patriot Act and all that stuff, you know, and their hysteria over Islamic people and whatnot. Like now it's fucking pointing back at you. So let's not do this again next time. I hope we've learned a lesson and we go forward and realize that the government is really the fucking enemy here of everything.
As long as the government has a voice, they will pick who the boogeyman is.
Go ahead.
All right. Elon Musk. Soros reminds me of Magneto. Elon Musk. I'd like to apologize for this post. Elon Musk. It was really unfair to Magneto. And I fucking love this because I always, our good friend Anthony that we've had on the show years past, we always will call somebody a name or call somebody a pig and be like, you know what? It's not fair to compare this person to pigs. It's not fair to the pigs. So this is my humor. I love it. And I love that a huge name like Elon Musk is calling out George Soros because it needs to be a name in everybody's mouth. We need to have the walls close in on old droopy eyes.
Yeah, it's funny. And I really did like this one, being obviously me and you comic book fans, and obviously also being huge opponents of George Soros. So it's an interesting crossover. I saw people making the most stupid points about this, trying to say that he's anti-Semitic, Elon Musk, for making this comparison. So people saying how people trying to even like people were saying like, oh well, Magneto's character arc, right? Like he was a Holocaust survivor. Okay, like do you really know? Like yeah, Magneto was a Holocaust survivor, right?
We know
who's a mutant and then becomes like a mutant supremacist and says, okay, we're going to kill all humans on the planet because they wronged me in the past. Magneto was the villain of X-Men, right? Not a good guy. Like we might like the recent movie version of Magneto because Ian McKellen plays him and he's fucking cool and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, he is a bad guy who wanted to genocide half of the population. Hence the comparison to George Soros, right? That's the whole point.
Well,
There's nothing to do with
talk about
Jewish.
Being anti-Semitic. Let's talk about George Soros's story arc of how he was a young Hungarian Jew who pretended to be a Christian and then worked with the Nazis and was paid in Nazi gold to sell out the Jews and literally have them killed.
I just posted a video on our TikTok, on our Instagram.
Yes.
When I was on, so you run around for this part, but when I was on We the People Radio, James showed me the interview of George Soros himself admitting that his his amoralness at times when he's acting politically and talking about the past. There is an actual, this is Elon Musk, right? There is an actual comparison between the two. They have a very similar backstory, Magneto and George Soros. Just one is comic book and the other one's real life.
Yep. He's a real life supervillain, people.
Yeah, exactly. And his goals, like funding this, like these progressive DAs in San Francisco. Have you looked at San Francisco lately? Like, does that look like a good thing for human beings in any way whatsoever, including the people who are living on the streets. Like, no, of course not. He's behind a lot of this shit, or at least funding, giving it the funding behind the scenes. So yeah, hence the comparison. Both bad guys.
Mm.
All right. Where were we at? Objective liberty. This is a good count to follow. Mexico's constitution guarantees food, housing, a healthy environment, healthcare, culture, and education. Why aren't Americans crossing the Rio Grande to get those things? Why aren't refugees from other Latin American countries settling in Mexico?
Because they're getting paid to come here.
No, it's that the Constitution is just a piece of paper, and it doesn't mean jack shit. You could put anything you want in it. It sounds great, but in reality, reality matters, and free markets matter. Like, again, this goes back to what me and you are talking about all the time. Things only get made if people are standing there with a fucking axe chopping down wood, right? Or tilling the farms or whatever. Put whatever the fuck you want in your Constitution. You can say literally in your Constitution, we, the states, are guaranteeing you food. Well, that don't mean anything.
You're getting food
if no one's making the fucking food, right? So I thought this was just a great point, and it kind of just shows the hypocrisy of the state.
And Mexico really can't handle to give everybody that either.
Yeah, neither could America, even if it did, even if it was in the Constitution. Only a free market can provide all those things for everybody. That was your last tweet before, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I got a bunch more. These, yeah, this one's I got a bone to pick here with Joshua Reed Eagle, who I would consider a libertarian, as they call them, right? Like one of the idiot libertarians that are not in the Mises camp of people. And Joshua Reed Eagle says, national divorce doesn't reduce tyranny, it just localizes it. Oh my goodness. Imagine actually believing that like if we had a national divorce, if we moved society towards a more localized system of governments, that the localized system of governments would just be more tyranny. I'll use a real life example for you, Captain. I told you recently about how I got a letter in the mail from my town here in Connecticut, and it says, hey, we found out that you have dogs. Therefore, you have to pay us a license to have dogs. Now, you know how I am, right? I'm not doing it. But if I really wanted to, right? Like if I really wanted to uproot that law and get rid of it from my town, how difficult would it be? Not that difficult, right? I could probably start a Facebook page, have like a rally in the town square, start pointing it out to people, get people I know in the town, and really get them on board. Hey, like this rule in our town is ridiculous. Here's why. And after maybe like a year or so of me running a campaign to get this local law overturned, I guarantee I could probably get it to a vote in the town. Now, compare that to me trying to get the federal government to change its policy on Ukraine. What can I do as an individual in any way, in any capacity whatsoever, to get the federal government to stop funding Ukraine? Yeah. Nothing. There is absolutely nothing I could do besides relying on the federal government itself to change its policy. Yeah. Right? So this is the dumbest fucking take from someone who's a fake libertarian I have ever heard in my life. It makes no sense. And even if you want to like compare the nature of policy, my town would not be funding a war in Ukraine. Right. It would only be like worried about dog licenses.
The stupidity.
So the amount of tyranny, even at inception level, is much lower than at the gigantic federal level.
It's to just say that like no matter who's in charge, they're going to be tyrannical. You know what I mean? Like just assuming that like if a Republican takes over, it's going to be tyrannical. If a Democrat takes over, it'll be tyrannical, which it wouldn't be. Localizing it will take out the tyrants because it's easier to locally
oppose tyranny, right? Yes, exactly. Than it is at a gigantic global level.
Yes. Right. So if you didn't like the way your local officials are running and you think they're tyrants, guess what? It's going to be way easier to vote them out.
Exactly. So how is that not a reduction of tyranny? Right. Yeah. If things are localized, we can reduce tyranny much easier. Or just
it'll only take you one time, you know?
Right. Only one time.
You'll learn real quick, like, oh shit, this guy was bad. We're not voting you in again.
And even at inception, the things they're doing are just naturally less tyrannical. My little town does not have the resources, the means, or the care to launch a war against Ukraine, against Russia, or something like that. They're concerned about dumb shit like dog licenses on your own fucking private property. So yes, a national divorce would be beneficial. Sorry, Josh. Let's go on to the next one. Let's skip Krasenstein. I was talking about him before. Let's go to Jesse Kelly. This was a great tweet. Jesse Kelly goes, "That looks like the perfect award for you, and I'm sure you'll make use of it." And this is Senator Scott Wiener, and he's holding up this award. And what does this award look like to you, Captain?
Butt plug.
So again, Jesse Kelly, that looks like the perfect award for you, and I'm sure you'll make use of it. Referencing that Senator Scott Wiener is going to shove this award up his ass as a butt.
That is fantastic.
I got to hand it to Jesse Kelly, man. He's had some savage takes lately. He had that one about Kamala Harris sucking dick recently. That was pretty fucking funny.
I think I've seen that.
This one made me laugh. So, all right.
Fantastic.
Last one will be from Michael Heiss, the chair of the Mises Caucus. And he says, the continued effectiveness of the Bud Light boycott makes it of perhaps paramount historical importance that Dylan Mulvaney becomes the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Guy's just a black plague. Yeah. Wherever he goes, he's going to make people lose money.
Dylan Mulvaney, make him the fucking chairman of the Federal Reserve. Before you know it, conservatives will finally have figured out, hey, we got to get rid of this institution, and they'll cancel it into oblivion.
That's fantastic. That's hilarious.
All right. That's all I got.
Yes, sir.
Any other points or anything else you want to touch on, Captain, before
nope.
wrap this up? One more thing I will mention. We are planning on doing a Twitter space soon. Don't know exactly when, perhaps next week, with the Patriot Podcast Network guys. That it will be fun. I like the idea of that because anybody can then just join in on the conversation with us in a Twitter space, including listeners and the fans, and just talk about whatever. But less censored environment as well. For the most part, we could pretty much say anything we want.
Hey, whatever happened to that World Economic Forum CEO that was going to take over Twitter?
Okay, yeah. It's not like she hasn't started her job yet.
Right.
I think she's a month or so away. For what it's worth, Elon said they're going to do a Twitter space and take questions from everybody.
We should join that.
Yeah, we should. How manipulated is that? Like, are they even going to allow questions from normal people? It's suspicious. I don't trust her at all. I think Elon has bought enough goodwill at this point to see it out, just like we've said before. Like, we should see what happens. Maybe it's I talk about this with Alan and James. They even agree. Like, let's see what happens, right? Maybe it is some sort of 4D chess move by Elon to get one of them and bring them on our side now to use against them, or
flip them. All right,
flip them maybe, or I think it's likely, perhaps even she's a marketing person. She knows how to speak the language of these DEI, ESG, woke people. Maybe she could milk some money out of them while Elon remains keeping the platform. Maybe they can make some money off of that grift while keeping the platform as freedom of speech. Elon did have that really good interview on Fast Money, where they asked him about the Magneto thing, and they asked him, like, why do you say all these crazy things? And he was like,
because they're true.
He was like, I'm reminded of the Princess Bride, where the father's like, offer me money, offer me power, I don't care. And the interviewer was like, you just don't care? He's like, I'm just gonna say what I feel like saying.
Yeah.
And he's like, he was like, I don't care if I'm going to lose money saying it. Yeah.
People can't. Today's modern age, people can't handle that. If you just say what you're going to say, people crumble. That's why they hate Trump. That's why when he opens his mouth, everybody shits their pants. So if you truly just speak your mind,
exactly.
Woo,
that's freedom of speech as well, right? Yeah. Like if we're at a fundamental level, like freedom of speech does not exist so that we could all agree and say things that are popular amongst everybody. It only exists to say something that's not popular. If we're all saying the exact same thing and everyone agrees,
no one's listening. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, what even is that? Yeah. That's not freedom of speech. It's just nothing. It's just, we all agree on this thing and no one ever dares, that's what they had in the Soviet Union. Everyone agreed. Stalin was the best, the best. And I
lost my whole family, but he's the best.
God forbid, right? You said one thing to the contrary, you were thrown in the fucking gulag. That's not freedom of speech. That's what people are saying it is. So I highly recommend everybody watch that. That was interesting. That little comment that got me back on Elon's side. I appreciate it.
There we go.
Sign us off.
All right, Doom Nation, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. That is how you get this news and information out there. That is something you could do to help this cause. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We will be back next week. We will probably have some guests coming up. Like I said, be on the lookout for that Twitter space with the Patriot Podcast guys. Doom Nation, adios.